This is Abnormal Entertainment.
Welcome everybody to the Cinema Head Cheese Podshort for the Crisis on Earth X CW Arrowverse crossover. This is Kevin Moyers, and I love these things. Every year we've had crossovers between Arrow and The Flash, and, you know, when they were two shows, it was pretty easy, but over the last 3 seasons, we've had 2 new shows come in, right? First there was Legends of Tomorrow, which borrowed characters from both Arrow and The Flash, and, some heroes, some villains, some of the B characters, so to speak, and it took them and gave them their own little fun thing. And it's another comic book, but they're time-traveling heroes now. And I've enjoyed that show greatly since it came in. It took a little bit to get going in the first season. Hawkman and Hawkgirl were kind of crappy, but they weren't really involved in any kind of a crossover in their first season because they were just directly pulled out of the other shows. So they kind of spun out of, like, Hawkgirl was on The Flash, and Hawkman and their villain were all on The Flash, and then migrated over. Of course, we had Heatwave and Captain Cold came from The Flash. Firestorm came from The Flash. Then you have Ray Palmer as the Atom, Sarah Lance as White Canary. I'm trying to think of who else from Arrow. I think that was it from Arrow. We didn't get villains from them. Heatwave and Captain Cold were the only villains. So we got them from Arrow. And so it didn't really cross over, and it was also a shorter season than the other shows. If I remember right, it was mid-season in the first season, but they introduced Rip Hunter, who was a Time Lord, who, brought the Wave Rider, and Gideon, who we also know as the computer system used in the secret room in Star Labs in The Flash. So Gideon was also the system used on the Wave Rider, which is kind of cool. They're not connected though, which would be cool if they were, but it's like saying every, Siri is connected or every Alexa is connected. You know what I mean? So I think Gideon is pretty much just the name of a system. Even though at the end of season 1 we did see a physical manifestation in Rip's head, which was kind of cool. And he made out with her, which was sort of weird. If you know how AI is going right now, that's a probability in the future. But so they didn't really have a crossover technically in their first season. I mean, Arrow and Flash were going back and forth. There's an episode where you had Firestorm when it was still Ronnie and Martin before Jackson came in, and that's how they ended season 2 of The Flash. Season 1 of The Flash ended with, Ronnie's death, like Firestorm separating in the eye of this rupture in time. And Ronnie died, and Martin survived. There wasn't really a crossover, so to speak. You just had these characters all getting pulled from those 2 shows. And then Supergirl was on CBS on a different network, and they did one Flash crossover, which was cool. I mean, for networks to cross characters is pretty amazing. But it's the same production company, so it's doable. And then, of course, they moved Supergirl over to CW. They have crossed, like, Constantine, which was NBC. They crossed him onto Arrow a few times, and we get to see him somewhere else on the mid-season finale of one show, which lit me up like Christmas, because they talked about moving Constantine over. And I honestly didn't watch the NBC show, and it was cut like half a season, I think. I don't know. It was not a long run. So I know the CW Seed has that, if you're interested in checking that out. And I am. I want to catch up with it, because I liked him the few times he was on Arrow. I'm looking forward to his future contributions during this season, which is awesome. But when Supergirl and Legends were in season 2, that's when we got the big crossover. And again, we had another like Supergirl Flash crossover where they did the musical episode. It was Music Meister. What was his name? It's something like that, Music Meister, but it was a whole musical episode, which is great because Grant Gustin and Melissa Benoist were both on Glee, so they have that singing experience. And I will say, I'm blanking on the actors' names. You know, if you listen to this, that I do that quite often. I blank on names, either the actor or the character, but the characters that played Cisco and Wynn, it's the only time we've gotten them together at the same time, which sucks because like our whole group of friends here at Abnormal, especially the Masterpiece Theater crew, we're all like dying to get an episode where Wynn and Cisco are working together, because they're both such awesome characters, and they're fun, and they're dorks in the same way, but super smart, and they're heroes. I mean, Wynn is just a human, works at the DEO, but Cisco's meta, but he's still, they're that same type, and Harry on top of it. Harry and Wynn and Cisco all together. Oh my God, like Earth 2 Harrison Wells. That would be so amazing, because Harry and Cisco, their relationship has gotten just better and better and fun. Like Harry has become relaxed. Like he can laugh, he can joke, he's comfortable being part of Team Flash and being on Earth 1, since, he and his daughter Jessie have had a little falling out this season. They're not getting along so well, and she told him, piss off for Team Jessie quick. So, like, all right, I'll go. I'll hang out with these guys over here. It's been fun watching these shows grow and grow together. And last year they did the Alien Invasion, which didn't really do much as far as Supergirl goes. At the end of the Supergirl episode that week, Cisco and Barry jumped over to Earth 37, I think she's on, and said, hey, we need your help. And she said, okay, and then gone. And you didn't even really need that. I mean, it was a nice little lead-in, because they showed that scene again in The Flash the next day, and that's when the shows were spread across, one per day, Monday through Thursday. And now Legends is also on Tuesday with Flash, right after Flash. But, it was really a 3-episode story arc, and they focused, with each episode, they focused on the show that it was a part of. They focused on those characters mostly. Like, they centered around Flash more. They centered around Legends more. Centered around Arrow more, each in their episodes. So, which was cool. It was kind of fun. But this time around, it was one massive 4-hour-long continuous story. There was no real cliffhanger at the end of each one. Because what they did is, since it's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday now, Arrow's on Thursday, they moved Arrow to Monday night just to run all 4 episodes together. Like, that was the network for 2 days. Supergirl, Arrow, Flash, and Legends. And in that order. And it was really super well done. It was like watching a long movie. And my daughter and I are big fans of the shows. She's not so big on Arrow. She's not big on it's more violent. She's not big on more action-y, realistic sort of violence. She likes the more cartoonish, when Mick Rory's got his fire gun going, it's silly, or Snart has his ice gun, or, whatever. Steel locking up, Nate turning into steel and stuff. it's more cartoonish sort of stuff. That's what she likes. She likes the silliness. Arrow's a little more serious. It doesn't have the sense of humor of the rest. It's more like the DC movies than it is the DC shows in that way. And it's dark and stuff. She's just not that into those kind of things. She'll watch it if there's a crossover, though. Like, hey, Barry's in this episode. All right, I'll watch it. You know what I mean? Or Sarah or whatever. So, that's how she is. But she and I sat and watched all 4 of these in a row. That's our Wednesdays usually. And so we sat and, you know, and again, she doesn't watch Arrow, so that's fine. But we have Wednesdays together, and it's a short school day for her. It's my day off. So I picked her up right after school was out instead of doing the after school club. And we just sat and we watched it, and it was amazing. Now you're talking about a 41-year-old man and a 9-year-old girl, and we both loved every bit of it. So it's for everybody, really. And this was a really big crossover because it involved more characters more consistently throughout. It starts with the wedding of Barry Allen and Iris West. And you see each of these groups from each show talking about whether or not they're going to get to the wedding. Because not everybody has RSVP'd. You see, like, Iris is going, hey, not everybody has RSVP'd yet. And you see Barry in the middle of some action and stuff, and he's doing a thing. And he's like, all right, well, we'll get on this. And then you see, Supergirl saying she needs to RSVP. And, of course, if you're caught up on that show, Mon-El is back. We find out at the end of season 2, he went through a breach. And I was truly hoping that he went to Earth 1 and would become part of the Legends. I was so hoping for Mon-El with the Legends, because he would be so fun with that group, because he is kind of goofy, you know? But, I mean, I guess more or less he'd just be another Nate, but a little bit more, alien, I guess. I don't know. Like a foreigner in a foreign land sort of thing. But, he would have been another Nate, I guess. But that's what I was hoping for more than anything. But you find out he's been in the 31st century for 7 years and, pined away for Kara, and then finally just kind of gave up on any hope of getting back to her and married somebody. So Kara is kind of, I don't want to go to a wedding. It's going to be depressing. And Alex just broke off her engagement. So she's kind of the same way. And Kara's like, no, you know what? You're coming with me. And of course, everybody on Earth 1 expects Mon-El to be her +1. They don't know that he's gone because they haven't seen her since the musical episode. But she comes with Alex. She's like, yeah, can I bring my sister? And so Alex is part of the crossover, which excited me because she's such a great character and she kicks ass, you know? And I'm going to have some spoilers in this as I tell this story. I mean, I say that just because if I accidentally, and I will do my best not to give things away, because now that the shows are on a break for winter, they followed the crossover up with their mid-season finales, and they're taking a couple week break. They're coming back in January. So it's a perfect time to catch up. And so I'm going to do my best not to give any big spoilers. Some little things will be fun. But yeah, I really want to see Mon-El in one of these things. I mean, we have seen him in a crossover in the musical episode, and that was cool. But we don't get Jean in the crossover because, again, they just think, Alex and Kara think they're going to a wedding. And, the wedding party is kind of fun because you have all the cops. You have Mick Rory, who sits next to the police chief of Central City. And he's like, they're looking at each other like, I hate cops, you know, Mick. you see all these fun characters, and it's like, is not everybody invited here? What happened? So, of course, Oliver and Felicity are there. Diggle's not there. And I'm trying to think, well, he's still injured, so he's still working on his arm, which was smart. I have enjoyed Diggle as Green Arrow this season, but it was smart that they made the injury like he's going to need a lot of time to recover, because that gave Oliver no choice but to become the Green Arrow again, which they had to do before the crossover, because you can't just have Oliver not there. Without the Green Arrow, without Oliver Queen, and I won't even say the Green Arrow, I will say without Oliver Queen, because remember, he was the Hood, then the Arrow, then the Green Arrow. It took 3 seasons? No, it took till maybe season 4 to become the Green Arrow? Something like that. So yeah, it's, without Oliver Queen, there is no Arrowverse. So he's the beginning of this. So he has to be there as the Green Arrow, or it's just stupid. As much as I really have, and I truly have been enjoying Diggle as a Green Arrow. Like, if for some reason, they killed off Amell, like he wanted to move on, I'd totally be in for David Ramsey taking over and being the Green Arrow. It'd be awesome. He's so good, and he has the little crossbow, and he's dead on with his shots, and he's a good leader. He's also a good leader, but he's been there since the beginning as well. It was OTA, as they call it. And I do like the dude who plays Renee, Wild Dog. He tweeted a picture of NTA, New Team Arrow, with Mr. Terrific and Wild Dog and the new Black Canary. So yeah, that's pretty cool and fun. But so they were smart in the way they set that up. Diggle needed some recovery time, so he hung back. I'm pretty sure everybody else is there. As far as the legends go, of course you have Martin and Jax. Nate is there. I believe everybody's there. But yeah, there were a couple of people where you're like, why weren't they invited? kind of things. But it's a beautiful church wedding. Everybody's there. The priest gives the "speak now or forever hold your peace," and he gets disintegrated by a laser. And you look up, and there are Nazis everywhere. Remember that feeling you had when Charlottesville happened, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? That's how they were. And I will give great credit to the writers. Supergirl does it more than any other show, but taking current events in the news and turning it into storyline, or at least, vaguely kind of building around that stuff. Supergirl does an amazing job of that. So when the Nazis show up from from Earth X, then, everybody's like, what the fuck? There was that same sort of feeling. And we've had church shootings and stuff like that, and you have this whole thing goes on in the church, and it's relevant to what's going on in society today. They're always really good with that. And I'm guaranteeing that had to come. Well, that was during the Supergirl episode, so if they gave each, writing team a section to write, which would make sense, then it makes sense. And Crisis on Earth X is a popular storyline in the comics. I don't know it because I don't read many comics, but I've heard of it. I've heard of the title, and it was so good. And comic readers were commenting on how good it was, but it was so good how they led into it. And basically what it is, and Harry explains it, and I think he explains it in the trailer, there are 52 Earths. Technically 53, because there is one Earth, and that is Earth X. They don't even give it a number, and this is for the, people that know a lot more about the multiverse, like Harry does. They call it Earth X because it's like this wasteland. On Earth X, it's the only Earth where Hitler won. And he ruled, took over the planet, and lived until like 1994 or something like that. I think it was 94 because I remember that's the year I graduated high school. So yeah, lived a ripe old age, survived a very long time, and as he took over the Earth, the new Führer is Earth X Oliver Queen. He is in a relationship with Kara Zor-El from that planet, from Earth X. The big leaders are Oliver, Kara, and Eobard Thawne, who takes on the look of Harrison Wells. So I don't know why they didn't have the actor that plays Eobard. I don't know. It's fun to see Wells in the Reverse Flash suit again. So, you have the, I forget what they call him. They didn't call him Green Arrow. But, on the different Earths, they have different names, like Black Canary on the evil Laurel Lance is Black Siren instead of Black Canary. So there are, some differences. Even the Flashes have, obviously on Earth 2, it's Jesse Quick. There is no Barry Allen Flash there, and the Flash is Jay Garrick on Earth 3 and so on and so forth. So, but everything is kind of opposite there. Mick and Snart are good guys, and you see Earth X Snart in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling that. There was also another hero that we see on Earth X, the Ray, and he and Leo are partners there, in many ways. But it's really interesting how they just kind of flipped everything. And, the good guys are the bad guys and vice versa, even though, Snart and Mick became good guys when they became legends. And you always get that hint that Snart is a good guy somewhere along the line. And he, in season 1, dies a hero. And, you find out the same happened to Mick on Earth X. He died a hero, died saving cops, which is hilarious. He's like, I hate cops, Mick. Dominic Purcell. He's so my favorite part of Legends of Tomorrow. He's just so much of a fun, lovable oaf. And when they get to his emotional side, it really, it cracks a different side of that character. And I love that too. You do spend some time in a concentration camp on Earth X. You see different versions of characters on there. They did a great job including as many of the actors as humanly possible. You saw Wynn on Earth X. You do see him a little bit in the beginning of Supergirl before she leaves for Earth 1 in the wedding. But you see Earth X Wynn. You see Earth X Quentin Lance. You see just many characters in their alternate versions. Earth X Felicity. Diggle isn't really in much of it. He's a little bit at the end. Like I said, he kind of hangs back and keeps an eye on Star City during the wedding, nursing his injury. But it was really good to see different team-ups throughout this. And that's the fun part of a crossover. You see, Elongated Man, I don't think was in it, Ralph Dibny. And he's still not named even by the midseason. They still haven't given him his name yet. And he still has a kind of generic silver suit. But I don't remember seeing Dibney in the crossover at all, which was weird. I know he was kind of taking a little break after he, had to save that little girl in a previous episode. He was kind of, rethinking the way he acts and stuff like that. I really want them to do more with Wally West. They don't do enough with him. He's in, the wedding, of course. He's there. And, he does the cool, like, stopping a bunch of bullets and stuff like that. Even flings a couple back at some guys, which I loved. He's such an underused character. It's almost like it's pointless having him there. But he's a good character. And I get aggravated when you see a little bit of him and they're like, okay, Wally, you go do this. Like they sent him off to go protect Joe and Cecile. He sent, like, you keep an eye on them because, these Nazis are coming for everybody. And he's like, all right. He was like, come on, I want to. And they're like, no, you need to watch them. And Joe's like, he's right, man. We need you with us. Cecile's pregnant and the whole thing. So, we need to make sure Cecile's okay. And he's like, all right, Dad, let's go. And so he takes them away and they're pretty much gone for the crossover. You see a great team up of Amaya and Zari and Cisco. Alex and Sarah team up pretty well. I mean, they're just fighters, and it's awesome. Earth X Snart teams up. He and Rory kind of they don't get along as well as they could. Not as the real pairings would, even though they're best friends on their specific Earths with their alternate versions, which is kind of funny. They do continue the story of Jax wanting to separate from Martin so that Martin can go and be a dad and be a grandfather, enjoy his new grandson. They continue that storyline, and Jax is reluctant, even though they do come up with a formula to separate the two. And Martin works hard. He's like, look, I got this other formula that you could take. They're at like the rehearsal dinner and stuff at Jitters. They're having a big rehearsal there. And, there's, an argument between them because Jax is like, he's like, you're a father to me. And he doesn't want Martin to go, even though it was his idea to split him up in the first place. He's starting to regret that. And it's just so much great stuff done there with that storyline within the crossover. They don't abandon any current storylines at all. They keep important things going. I liked Killer Frost and Mick teaming up together. That was fun. He's like got a crush on her a little bit. He's like, oh, and he's trying to aggravate Caitlin so that she turns. Are you scared? And she's like, get away from me. But, it's well done start to finish. It's poignant and important for, like today's news. It's very important to the shows attached. Some major stuff happens throughout, that affect the shows permanently. And, it's one I could sit through again. I can watch it again easily. And we watched the Alien Invasion, the Invasion storyline, I should say. That's what it was called. From last year, we rewatched that, and it's just as good as the first time. Even better because you pick up on things. But if you are human in any way, I'm just going to say there were 2 points throughout this where my daughter said, Dad, are you crying? I'm like, no. Like, of course I am. Of course I'm crying. What are you, out of your mind? But, it's so good, so well written, and, probably the best stretch of episodes you're gonna find throughout the series. So, throughout the 4 series, and these shows just, I don't know how they keep getting better. And, when you think look, Barry's fighting another speedster. When you think that's getting stale, they changed it up this year and just flipped it on its head. Like, wow. And apparently they're getting into another major comic book storyline there. And, but while they're on hiatus, if you haven't caught up, get into the Crisis on Earth X crossover. If you're a sap like me, get some tissues, man. It's I do it. I cried at both Guardians of the Galaxy. Almost did. I choked it back at the end of Wonder Woman. Did the same at Logan. It's fucking superheroes, but it does it to me, man. Because they're, when you get invested in these characters, and they become people, in a way, like not become people, but becoming immersed in these things. It's just amazing. This is what good storytelling can do. It can make you pretend, or it can make you care about about make-believe. It can make you really enjoy and love characters that aren't real. And if they're written well and done well and acted well, why not just get immersed into it? Forget your phone for a while and your laptop and just enjoy it. It's so good. And now's the time to catch up. So, do that. And, you won't be sorry. And hell, if you're behind on, what is it now? 15 years of television, 16 years of television, essentially, between these 4 shows, 16 seasons. You got catching up to do. You are missing out if you're not on this. I barreled through Arrow. I think I was 4 seasons behind everybody. And I just plowed through it. And I'm glad I did. I really am, because this is worthwhile television. And for network television, that's hard to say these days. There isn't much that's that good. So, if only the movies could be as good as the TV shows. It's what we all say all the time. But, get into it. Well worth your time. So, and carve out time to do it in one shot. It's worth it. Anyway, I've rambled on enough. Head over to bunny17media.com. That is our sponsor. Always will be, because I also own that. But you can, full disclosure, I implore you to head over there. If you like this, you're going to like what we have over there. Most of it written or worked on by me, not all of it. We have some other things there as well. We have graphic novels, kids books, comic books, essay books. I'm working on a superhero novel right now that I still don't have a title to, but I finally got all of my characters named, which I'm in chapter 5, and to get to chapter 5 and not have names for all of your characters, or full names for all of your characters, or their hero alter egos, is a little rough, but you can plug it in later. And I'm telling you, if you want to write, if you want to do something, just do it. Figure out the things that you're missing after you're done. Just sit down, go, and then see what you get and figure it all out in the edits. There you go. Chop out the nonsense, straighten it out. That's what edits are for. That's the point of it. So you can change a name. We did that in the kids' book, Search for the Book of the Guardians. Casey and I had a name for the Jersey Devil, and it was like, meh, we didn't like it. And I did some research on the Jersey Devil and found a name that not only fit, made it a little more menacing. We named him Titan, but it had a historical connection to the story, the legend of the Jersey Devil. So, just whatever your passion is. Word always sounds weird to me to use, but whatever your dream is, just do it. And that's what we do here, and at Bunny 17 Media. It's a guy and his daughter started a book label, support it. Go over there and get some books. You use the code CHC, you get 15% off of anything there. And, we'll have more stuff. Casey's done a lot of artwork. We're going to start having prints available. Working on audiobooks. Had some computer issues, which is why I'm still recording on my phone. But hey, it sounds good, so fuck it. Can't do an audiobook this way, though, unfortunately. But for podcasting, perfect. Anyway, so get into all that stuff. They got ebooks and paperbacks. I will have our first hardcover soon, which will be a very special edition of my comic book Scorn. If you like that, go get the graphic novel. If you're into vigilantes and action and superheroes and that kind of stuff, go get Scorn. It's a 19-year-old vigilante kid gets revenge on the death of his best friend, the murder of his best friend, by a notorious Chicago gang. And that was my first really completed comic book. And that's talking about doing research. I sent photos to my artist in Berlin, Philip Nundorf, photos of real places in Chicago so that he could really draw Chicago. I wanted actual locations. I wanted accurate stuff. It's not like Wayne's World where they drive from fucking Berwyn all the way to Logan Square in 5 minutes. You can't do that. That's an hour drive. So, and from Aurora, which is goddamn 2 hours from Logan Square, almost. So, the drive they make in that night would have taken them forever. So, yeah. Anyway, that's where I really started this kick of I have to make it as real as possible. And that's what I do, with my fiction stories. And, I hope you appreciate that and see the care and the work that goes into this. Even the kids' book. Every location, we go around the world, from Phoenix to Puerto Rico to Scotland to Russia, and I research the locations that are mentioned in there. I research the legends of the characters that are in there, of the cryptids that we use. So, we want it to be good and accurate. Like, I want you to be able to stand in front of the Roberto Clemente statue in Carolina, Puerto Rico, and go, wow, this is really where the book took place. This is really this moment in the book. So, that's the care that is put into these things. So please check it out and support us. If you like this, go spend, $10 and get your discount, CHC. And, you're really doing a lot for us when you do that. So thank you, again for supporting us, for listening to this. Go check out all the shows at abnormalentertainment.com. Check out all of the, reviews and articles over at cinemaheadcheese.com. And, I'm thankful. I'm very thankful that we get to do this, that we get an audience. And one thing I don't speak up enough about, you want to be a hero? Let's protect net neutrality. And I don't talk about that on these things, but we need to protect it. So tweet at the FCC and the 5 people that get to make this decision there. And we want to protect net neutrality, because without that, and we talked about it on Masterpiece in a recent episode, we go away. These little things that you love to listen to and enjoy, these independent podcasts, we got to build these friendships. Like, I didn't know anybody on any of these shows without this, I mean, outside of me and Dave and Jeff, like, I didn't know Dalen. I didn't know Frankie G or Minnie Mandy or none of that happens. Glory Hound, none of this happens. Daniel Garza, all of the syndicated shows, the guys from England and Australia, and like, none of this happens without an open and free internet. I don't want to become North Korea. I just don't. I want to be able to have this. This is important to us. It should be important to you. And, without that, we don't exist in any way. And I don't get to have some of the best friends that I've ever made. And, that's important to protect. It's good for all of us. So, thanks again for supporting us. Do your best harass the hell out of the FCC. And, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Subscribe and download back episodes of Cinema Head Cheese the podcast, and read all of our movie reviews and news at cinemaheadcheese.com. Email us at cinemaheadcheese@yahoo.com. Search Cinema Head Cheese on Facebook and tweet us at CINHeadCheese. And for more podcasts, books, comics, blogs, and videos, head to abnormalentertainment.com.
You've been listening to the Abnormal Entertainment Network.